Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of Cattleya maintenance. I wanted to talk to you about the care and culture of Cattleyas and tips to get them to rebloom. So I got this guy last spring. It was what I'm going to call a rescue Cattleya. It was $5, it had no roots whatsoever, and I thought I'm up to the challenge and see what I can do with it. So the first thing I did was I repotted it into new media so I know exactly what's in the pot and how old it is. I just planted it in a large bark mix in a very tiny pot because it had no roots. I didn't want to give it too much space to wobble around. I don't know if you can see in here, if it's even visible. I also put a little anchor. It's a metal piece that I put through the outside of the pot and it goes across, and what it did was once it was in the media it held it in place. So I kind of wired it in place to start with, because when you have a Cattleya like this that has no roots and it's trying to establish roots but it's constantly wobbling back and forth, the first thing that's going to happen is those new root tips are going to break off and you are then going to be again stuck with a Cattleya with no roots. So first thing you want to do is get it securely in there. Doesn't matter even if you have to tie it around the bottom of the pot or drill some little holes in ahead of time to wire it in. Make sure that Cattleya isn't going to move. Now new roots aren't going to grow off old growth, so then what we have to do is trigger some new growth to grow. So we want to keep it just mildly moist, not drenching it. There's no roots there to water anyway, so it's not a big deal if it's just keeps it on the moist side. I would just spray it with water as opposed to actually soaking it. Once the new growth started here, that's when the new roots would start. So all the roots on this plant are basically from this growth here, but it really took off with growing roots. You can see now roots have come out the bottom and they're going over the side. You can even see them through the holes in the pot there, that there's roots that go all the way down. It's very stable now. I think after it's done blooming, I'm going to repot it into something a little bit bigger. As I say, it's in a medium bark right now, really anchored in there well, wired in place. I think I even see where I went across with a piece of wire here, and then because the wire went across the pot, I zap strapped one of these pseudobulbs to the wire again to keep it from moving, to keep it from rocking back and forth. And that's really key to making sure it grows new, strong, healthy roots. So this guy is a beautiful Cattleya. It smells right now like roses. It's no other way to describe it. I don't think it's labeled correctly anymore, although at one point this name would have been right. I don't think it's right anymore. Everybody keeps changing the names of all these Cattleya type orchids. I can hardly keep up. But yeah, so the only thing I think I'm going to do today, there is some ugly leaves on here. A few options for these ugly leaves. Now you can't just leave them on there. They're not actually hurting anything. It looks like maybe it got too much sun before I owned it, so they look ugly. What you'd want to do to trim off these leaves, you never want to cut the pseudobulb itself because that's what stores the energy for the plant. But you can take a pair of scissors. Now I went ahead earlier and sterilized these in rubbing alcohol. I just totally lathered them in it and let it sit in there for a while. That way you're not going to be transferring any disease from one orchid to another orchid. And you could just cut this off just with a pair of sharp sterilized scissors like so. And there goes that leaf. Now we're just left with this one here. Because it's kind of ugly, I'm going to just diagonally cut this across here and give it more of a natural appearance to it. So that's been taken care of now. Looks a little bit better, a lot better than it did. This is what I cut last year, and you can see how it continued to dry up a little bit along the edge, but if I remember correctly, this was a big black leaf as well. So I'm going to leave this one for now. Although it's ugly, it's still photosynthesizing, it's still producing some nutrients for the plant. But look at how nice and rich and healthy this new growth looks here. And as I say, it's just beautiful. It smells so good. So I rewater this guy when it approaches dryness with the extra, I think my heater just kicked on. Hold on. There we go. My heater kicked on below me. I rewater this when it approaches dryness. To start with, I put a little layer of moss on the top of the bark just to retain a little bit more moisture right around where the root growth would start. I think that helped a little bit. I look forward to getting this thing into a bigger pot now that it's, I would say, pretty much made a complete recovery. With the amount of roots that are here, it's going to be able to easily grow 1 or 2 new growths off this one this spring once this is done blooming here. And hopefully, I can't stop smelling it. It just smells so good. And yeah, hopefully we get 2 new growths this year out of it. And it will definitely need a bigger pot. Anyways, that's sort of Cattleya 101 for what I did with this rescue Cattleya. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you got a few tips out of it as well. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks for watching.